No, I don't. I mean, you.
Got some more.
Yeah. Yeah, it counts for one time.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like, so much power. Yeah, we got arrested. Yeah, yeah. It sure can. But yeah. We're definitely not. It's rare. I think I was thinking. Yeah, all down here. Yes. They won't act.
You know where it is? Right in there, right in there. Yep.
I think we have half. Yeah, just a room spray paint. He's thinking they're gonna be pretty important people. Yeah. So, yeah. That's always the best thing to do. That's a great question. Cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Yeah.
Oh, out of there.
I'm gonna see. They're actually still in interest. So I'll text me with
No, I remember you were.
And good afternoon, and thank you for your patience. And welcome to the swearing in the investiture of Commissioner Melissa Rogers. Commissioner Rogers has actually been doing the job of a commissioner for some time now. This is the formal event to help solemnize the swearing in that took place back on December 20th when we first put her to work, and she's been working ever since downstairs handling the caseload of our tireless and hardworking commissioners. And I don't know I don't know if everybody is familiar with her. She comes to us most recently from south of here. But I will let you know a few things about her that I know, and she used to be an adjunct professor at Seattle U. She's done some volunteer work through the King County Bar Association, working on DV, domestic violence clinics, the last 10 years, meeting with unrepresented litigants, and on the board of the Domestic Relations Attorneys of Washington. And she's been pro temping in both Snohomish County as well as King County, and is a Western Washington native. She has been working in Seattle, but she correctly identifies our county as the preferable county for practicing, and I think that is generally an accepted truth. So welcome to this. I do want to acknowledge our elected officials. I see in the back Heidi Percy and Jason Cummings. Heidi Percy, our clerk, Jason Cummings, our prosecutor. I also want to acknowledge the bench that is represented here. Some people are unable to be here, and some people are actually still in court at this late hour. But we have Judge Anita Ferris, Judge Bruce Weiss, Judge Mary Beth Dingledye, Judge Millie Judge, Judge Cindy Larson, Judge Jennifer Langben, Judge Anna Alexander. I don't think, no, not yet. We have Commissioner Susan Harness, Commissioner Lisa McKelly, and Commissioner Ian Johnson. And importantly, where did she go? Retired Commissioner Jackie Brudvik. We're privileged to have her here today. She was pro temping downstairs, and so she joins the bench as well as we formally welcome, I should say, Commissioner Melissa Rogers. I also want to welcome Commissioner Rogers' family, who is also present. Her father, Mike Rogers, mother, Marcia Rogers, fiance, Greg Kirkley, soon-to-be stepson, Logan Kirkley. Welcome to you. Also, we have some family members watching via YouTube. I'd like to welcome you as well. Sue and Hans Rudolph Gunther Schlesinger. Oh, I hope I got that right. Seraphin Lillian, Tom and Teresa Arena, Bonnie and Terry Liberty, Heron and Grant Monroe. And also who will be speaking, Amir John Shorai, who I hope has arrived. Ah, good. Okay. Yes. Managed to make it through that traffic snarl at the Pacific Street exit. Finally, I see. And tell us what happened later. Well, at this time, I do wish to welcome you forward. I think Mr. Is it Shorai? Shawai. Shorai. Okay. Did you have some words you were prepared to share with us?
Yes, I do.
Please come forward and take this mic right here, if you would.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
there a little switch on there?
There we
Yes,
go.
it's on.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amir John Showright. I'm a partner at Wexler Becker in Seattle, and I'm pleased to be here and humbled to be asked to introduce Commissioner Rogers and to tell you how proud her mother and I are of her. That's a joke. Breathe. I have to confess, I'm normally used to one judge. I've done 3 judge panels. I've done a 9 judge panel once, appellate level, but I've never had this many at one time, and it definitely does not help that they are all behind me. Pass out. How do I know Commissioner Rogers? Well, first of all, when she asked me to do this, I asked her, "Are you sure?" I know where the bodies are buried, but she insisted. So Commissioner Rogers and I first met we think in 2004, because before she went to law school, and while I was a very green newbie lawyer, she worked as a teller at WAMU. Remember that? 5th and Union, 2 blocks from my office at the time. We didn't actually meet and become friends until much later, but we're both pretty sure that we would have had to, have some contact while I was coming in with my usually $1,500 to $2,000 fee deposit, which was a mountain of money to me at the time. But then again, my hourly was 100 to 150 at the time. Anywho, she and I figured out years later that we'd known each other by the 3rd time we met. But before I get ahead of myself, the 2nd time we met, and you'll forgive me, I'm going to call her by her first name. It's hard to get used to this, but Melissa was through law school by the 2nd time we met, and she was pretty green herself. And you remember this, right? Yeah. And we wound up, she was working at a law office in South King County. We were on opposite sides of the case. And we utterly failed as divorce lawyers. And the reason I say this is because our clients, if you recall, fired us because they decided to remain married. Imagine how bad a set of lawyers we had to be, where they decided it's better to stay together than deal with these two. So they fired us. Now, I remember when it happened, there was another problem, which was neither one of us had ever been in that position, and no one ever prepares you for that, when your clients kiss and make up. So we didn't know how to dispose of the case. So I was like, what do we do? I don't have this motion. Do you? She goes, no, I know. But she tinkered around. Now, we were in King County for that case, and she knew Pierce County had a local form based on Pierce County local rules that said what you can do in this situation. So there we were, and I was like, well, look at that thing. She gave it to me, and I said, it has all these PC, LCR, rules. And I go, there's no corresponding King County rule. And she goes, I know. She just erased out all the PC, LCR stuff, anything referring to rules. And she just wrote the motion as is, changed Pierce to King. And, I signed my name to it, but she was the braver one to go present it ex parte. And shockingly, voila, it gets signed. So, when you're younger, you stress out far more about that. And you worry about, my God, am I going to get a CR11 sanction for this? What does this mean if I write this wrong? Anyway, valuable lesson learned from Melissa. Like any game or any football game on any given Sunday, on any given day in court, any motion, no matter how made up on local rules from another county that don't apply in yours, if presented confidently, as she no doubt did, may work. And they did. Next time I met her, this is now the 3rd time, it was a few years later. Now, Melissa had moved on to her next firm. She was in downtown Seattle at this time. And we had a friend in common who is also, unfortunately, in traffic, and I don't think here, Erica Knopf Santos. So one day, Erica, who I also met on opposing sides of a case, she invites me to lunch. She says, you got to come to lunch. And I said, okay, what's going on? She goes, I know this smart, wicked smart, but much younger than you and I, lawyer. And I think you should, come meet her and we'll all go to lunch. And I said, okay, fine. I think that's 2014, because what I remember about it is all Melissa could talk about was, I just got appointed to be a pro tem commissioner in King County. Oh my God, this is so great. What will I do? What will I wear? Black? Not the hard thing you need to worry about there, I'm pretty sure. But you know, she was all excited about that. And those lunches, they started kind of really this triumvirate of dissimilar, because we are all three really, really different lawyers. And we've had many lunches and dinners over the years where we would hash out our problems and, you know, scream and yell about what was wrong in our practice. The only interruption came in 2020, like everybody else with COVID. So we would usually meet, I don't know, no less than once a month, if sometimes much more. And so now for the first time, we went months without seeing each other, all of us. And so I can remember when it was county by county, and it was if they declared that the viral count or whatever the count was low enough, you could go into a restaurant, you could sit, you know, 30 feet from someone, but you were only supposed to go with your own family. Well, the three of us decided we were sort of like a, I don't know what we want to call it, some kind of a family, a brother and two sisters. And so we go to this restaurant in Snohomish County so that we were all good. And I remember so uncomfortable. We all took off our masks. We're like, but we're not really biologically related. Does anyone live with me? To the bench staff, I'll switch back to that. The bench and court staff. I have one message about Commissioner Rogers. If you take nothing away from today, you need to do this. Stay away from her in the morning until she has had coffee. Alternatively, you can stock the office with grizzly bear spray or something like that, because she'll give any bear a run for their money in the morning. To prove this point, which I learned the hard way, so I'm benefit from the knowledge. A few years ago, we were training to ride for the STP. Remember that? Which we didn't go because there was an injury involved. And so, okay, fine. Well, I've learned, and so write this, if you write anything down, write this down. A triple tall peppermint Americano with a bit of non-fat milk with a straw. Or a grande peppermint mocha with 4 shots of non-fat milk and half chocolate, but that one's only to be used on a day where she's extra tired and needs sugar for energy, right? I actually have that in my phone still so that I don't get it wrong. These will turn the morning frown upside down and she'll be off to the person you see now. Okay, what does she bring to the bench? The serious part of this. Well, I gotta go.
Yeah.
She brings the wicked sense of humor that I've known her for. I've practiced almost 20 years in Washington. And I can tell you, having now myself sat as a pro tem commissioner, you won't find a judicial officer who's going to exceed her will to do justice. Her goal is always to get the decision for each case right, and not necessarily the one that makes her feel better, because we have had many a tough call where I say, I just don't see how you get around that. And she knows it and she needs to hear it. Anyway, now I've had occasion when she was pro tem to sit and watch her. And I can tell you she's come a long way. She related to me once, and this is one of those where the bodies are buried story, that it must have been your first or second appearance on the bench ever. And the court gets called to order. And she comes in and she comes to the bench. She takes her seat and she starts to proceed with her calendar. And she, at a certain point, realizes she forgot to say the all-important, "You may be seated." She doesn't do this. So only after some awkward amount of time that she realizes people are still standing. I think I should say something. Now, I wasn't there, but I know when she did it as if she meant to do it. Like the ultimate power move of lording over her courtroom. I'm positive of that. Second, I also know this, except for her and me, because that's the kind of friend I am. I'll never forget that story. Probably no one remembers that faux pas, right? All they saw was somebody who came up there, made detailed findings of fact, as she's wont to do, made sure she explained the decision, probably with the pro ses that were on the calendar, was more than patient than I'm going to dare say some of you at times have been. Although many of you are, because I still will come occasionally to Snohomish County. But always well thought, always well thought out decisions, always well spoken, and again, the right decision. To come back to another serious point, Um, well, actually, I'll skip the more serious point there. So what I can say this about her on the bench is Snohomish County couldn't be luckier in that sense. And I will testify without naming her age. She is exceedingly young and will be here for a long, long time. The last thing that I know is during our, what we sometimes called our brain trust dinners, which is not as fancy or brainy as it sounds, where we would pick at each other. I remember one time I said, so where do you see your career going? Because I was at the time, I've always worked for myself, but Erica did as well. But Melissa was always working in law office. And I said, where are you going with this? And I said, what's your ultimate goal? She said, to be a family court commissioner. Remember that? And I said, okay, but you mean that's on your way to becoming a judge? Is that your real goal? And no. And she just said, I only love family law cases. I would never want to be a judge. She said, are you insane? Really said that. I can reveal that fact now in open court. Well, 2023 turns out to be a huge year for Commissioner Rogers, since this is the year that not only she achieves her dream job, but I know in a few months she's also going to be married. So before I close this, I'll just say this. Melissa did not get here on her own. And she knows that better than anybody. So although she has a lot of family, I just want to acknowledge a few. First, I'd like to acknowledge a man I only knew briefly, her brother Kenny. He died way too early and young. And I know if he were here, he'd be super, super proud. Next, the man she's marrying in just a few short months, Greg. I literally just met him for the first time, even though they've been dating since just before COVID, but we could never meet circumstance. So nice to meet you in person finally. But I have no doubt with your support, she will do well here. And last but not least, definitely not least, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers. I know you both could not be more proud. Whew, without your support, there's no way she's here. Citizens of Snohomish County literally owe you a debt of gratitude for raising such a smart, beautiful, and powerful woman. I was hoping to present you with the bumper sticker of my daughter is now a Snohomish County Court Commissioner. They were out because I know you've been dying to replace the my daughter plays tenor sax in the Tenino High School band. Bumper sticker, go Beavers. But I will send that to you both later. So with that, thank you everybody for bearing with me. I'm very sorry we were late in traffic. Of all the things, my only excuse is I had a driver. I didn't drive. So thank you all and welcome to the bench.
Thank you, Mr. Shirai. Well, Commissioner Rogers, I did the same thing. I mean, mine was at a wedding, left them standing. So you're not alone. But speaking of standing, would you please come forward at this time? Because it's time for us to do publicly what we did back on December 20th. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Melissa J. Rogers,
I, Melissa J. Rogers,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties,
of Superior Court Commissioner according to the law to the best of my ability.
the duties of the office of the Superior Court Commissioner according to law to the best of my ability.
Congratulations once again. And at this time, Mr. Kirkley, would you please come forward? And so that we can all see. Yes, very good. Might get a little toasty with the sweater in there. And since you're up there, Commissioner Rogers, do you have a few words that you could share?
Yes, thank everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for taking the time out of your day, and waiting for the delay to come be at this ceremony that means so much to me. I am beyond proud and honored that Snohomish County and the bench behind me has entrusted me with this duty. I cannot wait to come to work every day and to help the citizens of Snohomish County. I'm very lucky to have had great mentors, some of whom are behind me, some are out here, and many of them are on YouTube. My biggest mentors, it's been said again and again, but my parents were the ones who, my dad was the one who convinced me to go to law school. And I would not be able to be here without them and their support. The decision ultimately and the life change that this is for me was also enabled by my fiance, Greg Kirkley, and my soon-to-be stepson, Logan, who support me at home daily and are exactly what I need when coming home from a day of work and a day where sometimes you have to hear cases that are hard and make decisions that are hard. But my goal is to serve this community as best I can and to wrap this up so we can go next door and eat and drink and be merry. Thank you all again for coming here to support me. And I look forward to serving each and every one of you.
Hold on. No, you join us now. You're one of us. Just a few more comments. I think I can probably explain why they're running out of bumper stickers that say my child is a Snohomish County Superior Court Commissioner, because we're we're using them up. I also want to acknowledge that Judge Moore and Judge Moriarty, who were working up until in court up until very recently, have joined us, and they're in the back. So I want to acknowledge them. Also, I'm mortified to realize I think I left out a few people I wanted to recognize. Are the Kesslers here, possibly on YouTube? Oh, there they are. They are here. Okay. Yes, I do want to recognize also Commissioner Rogers' best friend, Holly Kessler, her husband, Bill Kessler, and their daughter, Commissioner Rogers' de facto niece, Layla Kessler. Thank you all for being here. And furthermore, I want to, on behalf of Commissioner Rogers, invite you to a reception at the Courtyard Marriott to follow in order to help celebrate this latest and excellent addition to our bench. And with that, we are adjourned.